What is up there, young fishes? It's MC Master Lord Fish up in the Hizzy Hazel Housey, and I decided I'm going to make part two of road stuff. So we made our roads already, but we're going to just make some side stuff in case you guys are looking for something a little more in detail for your roads, or it's going to be just different stuff around the roads though this time. So hopefully you're interested in what I'm going to do today. Flip out edit mode. First, we'll make a sidewalk, maybe. Maybe you want to make a scene. I don't know. This would probably help you with that if you're doing that. So let's just reef this over to one side, guys. And I hope you're all doing well today. I'm doing pretty good. Feeling a little bit better from my cold if you've been listening to me lately. Probably don't sound like it, but I feel a little bit better anyways. Alright, so let's look for what you want for your sidewalk. That's going to be on you, of course. How thick it's going to be, that stuff. I try to line it up with your road just to try to get, the right look for it. We're not going to attach it because you're probably going to want to run your sidewalks separate. There's a couple different ways we could do this. If you want, you could just use one block for your sidewalk and then just place them individually. It's going to be a little harder on resources, things like that, but it's definitely going to have a cleaner look in the end. What we are going to do is we're going to stretch it about the same size as the road. And you could make this into your blueprints if you like, but you may get in trouble when things start curving a little bit. So on corners and stuff like that, it may cause issues. Hopefully not. It's going to depend what you do up here. If we were to, I'll show you, I'll give you a demonstration of what could go wrong here by doing this. If we were to hit Control R on this piece, we're not in the right mode, Control R, and in edit mode here, and do this. When you went to bend around the corner, where we put these lines would cause breaks in your sidewalk, and the faces would kind of pop inside out and stuff. So we're going to have to be careful what we do, and we're not going to do that. Well, we won't do that. But what we will do is we'll undo that. So what I would do if you're trying to put marks in your sidewalk or something like that is I would Control A, get out of edit mode first, so with tab, then Control A. There we go. Alright, let's make this real thin. Take it over to our sidewalk, bump it up to the top. So it's stupid little face of this top one is only sticking out just a little bit. That's what you want. So you're not going to cut all the way through the sidewalk. What you're going to do is just cut through the face of the top of it, so it looks like there's a little division in there, but there really isn't. Basically, you're just going to fake your way through it. And it shouldn't cause any issues, but maybe you want to do one version that you did cut it, one version that you didn't, just in case your cut does cause issues. You can maybe look for a second solution that's a little better. But that should do it anyways. This is what I would do. Make sure it's sticking out the top. It's really hard to see when it's down that low. There we go, that's sticking out. I would, first I would grab the thing, just this, Shift D. I would put them where I want them to be. Shift D. Right. Then I would grab all three, and then I would bool them from this. I'll give you an example. We'll do the top difference since there's nothing else. And as you can see, it's giving you little grooves in your sidewalk. Seems pretty good. Looks good to me. Like I said, I'd just give you an example though. I like to have a little cleaner of a building structure. So I'm going to leave that sidewalk blank while I build stuff on it for you guys, and hopefully you also want these things in your game. Alright, I'm just deleting the extra ones here, just like that. Alright, we will pull out a cylinder. Now on your sidewalks there's a few different things you're going to find. Now, everybody's sidewalk is going to be a little bit different. Everybody remembers different things about roads, and that's what they want to build on their roads. I understand that, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have your suggestions, so I'm just going to build some stuff, and hopefully it helps you with whatever you're building on your sidewalks. I'm going to start off with a fire hydrant. So we're going to make a cylinder, pretty small. Make sure it's into the ground a little bit. And we'll flip to edit mode, grab it by the face, and we'll go up a little bit. How shall we do this actually? Let's not do that. We'll undo that, get out of edit mode. I'm going to make this longer. And if you're like, Lordfish, don't be flipping and flopping back and forth, bud. Try to remember, I'm just making this stuff live. I don't have a game plan in my head. I'm just kind of going as I go. So sometimes I'm going to have to do that because I've made a mistake and I figured out a better way in my head. So I apologize if it frustrates anybody. So I just duplicated that with Shift D and changed the angle to 90. Because we're going to make ourselves a fire pole, and they usually have something like that going through the other side. But usually they're a lot smaller, so it'd be something like that. Maybe. Alright, and we will... How will we do this? Let's try to make it separate for we can put a cap on the end of all of them, but we'll see what we can do. It might be harder than I think. Sometimes it works out that way. So I'm going to make it really thin. Then I'm going to do this to make it a little bigger than the last one. The reason being is to make our cap bigger. So you can see there's a cap on there. Alright, so we'll grab that. We'll flip to edit mode. We'll hit I. We'll go into about there. And you may have to do this a couple times to get just the look you're looking for. I'll do that one more time to separate them. Then I'll hit S. Oops, I hit W. And I'm just going to shrink it down. Shrink it down. Oops. Shrink it down. And this time I'm going to hit I. Trying to make sure I don't invert those inner angles. I didn't. If you go too far, you will. So just be careful. Alright, that's going to be the head of my fire. What the heck are these things called? Fire hydrant, yeah. There we go. There we go. So, if it's in place, Shift D. We're going to copy it. Just drag it over to the side a little bit. And we'll try to use some magic to mimic it on both sides. So, let's find... Nope. Actually, that will do it. We'll just 180 that. Nope, that did not do it. Wrong one. Sorry about that, guys. That'll work. So we're going to take this over here. We're going to take this over here. And obviously it looks a little too big, so let's shrink it down a little bit. It's also an appropriate size for this cap. Right? Make sure it's on. You can see a tiny gap there. Shift D. I'm going to copy it. Now we'll have to figure out what axis to change it on over here. So I'm just going to put a minus in front of this and see if this is the right one. It's not, so I'm going to remove that minus. We're just trying to get it on the other side of that hydrant. So maybe I'll remove this minus. There we go. Now let's see, we changed that like that. So let's minus 90 this one. And boom, we're in place, guys. We have our fire hydrant. They do look a little bit wide like this. So can do that to make it a little better. And you're going to have to probably work on it a little longer to get it exactly how you want it, but I'm just giving you ideas how to do things, right? You can add a third hose slot if you want. Depends what you see, what you remember them looking like. Every country is different for fire hydrants, every province, every state. So it's going to depend how you see them, but hopefully that helps you. So when we're done, we'll click those, we'll click the frame last, and we will hit Control J, and we'll just scoop that up to one side. Oops, I lost a piece here. So I just undid it, and I'm just going to grab that piece and then grab the rest of it. Control J. We'll add that in too. It's all one piece. Now next, what else would we have, right guys? Let's do, how about some lights? Now again, I'm just going to give you a quick example, but you guys can take this example and hopefully make your own, taking your time and making the little modifications I'm not doing. I'll try to run through some of them to help you make them look a little better. But if you take this time to build all this stuff for your city, it's going to make your city look that much better. It's going to be custom, and that's what you want. So I'm just going to shrink this down to the appropriate size for my poles. Everybody's going to have a different version again. When I'm done, stretch it out. Stretch it out. Try to guess at the height a bit. Now, is that too tall? Is that tall enough? It's going to depend what you're going for. Is your city got skyscrapers? Does it have houses? The higher the buildings, I'd say probably the higher the poles. You're not going to want to match them to the skyscrapers, obviously, but you know, something like that would be good for most cities. Maybe a little bit bigger, depending what you're after. We'll flip to edit mode. We'll go to the top one, and we'll hit S. We'll just shrink that down. That way, it just tapers nicely all the way to the top, right? Perfect. Good. We'll call up another cylinder. And we always keep everything in the middle while we're building. That way, it always wraps to the middle like that. And it's easy to connect things and make sure they're perfectly in place. Just like to remind you guys of that. That's the wrong one. Just go back to 0. There's another way to do that too, where you can hit R90 to flip the angle. And then just choose Y, Z, X. It's a lot faster. But I find it slightly moves them off of their axis, and I don't like that, so I've been doing it different lately. S, shrink it down, shrink it down, shrink it down. Okay, so we got to be at least the same width as that, so we're going to go like that maybe. Stretch it out a bit. Stretch it out a bit. And I'll show you guys a couple different looks, and you can choose what's most appropriate for you. I'm going to flip to edit mode, grab that face, shrink that down a little bit, because again, these are going to taper on their way out. So, have a tapered edge. Now, a few different things again. Let's shrink that just slightly. There. Now the edges are hidden. We could go something like that. We could move this on a bit of an angle for it's leaning up or it's leaning down, depending what you're going for in your city. Take this right up to the top if that's more what you're going for, is like a clean edge look on it. But what I think I'm going to do, and this is a preference, you guys can do it whatever's best for you. Do that. And then let's try changing this to 75. That's wrong. So let's do 105. Let's do 100. Find the right angle for yourselves. You're all going to have a different version. This is the look I went for. I think it's a very good look. Kind of makes it look like the lights will be pointed more over the road, I guess. The length is going to depend on what you're going for. Are your poles close to the road? In my case, I want them to hang over the road. Do you want yours to hang over? Or are you going to have hydro wires? Maybe keep that in mind. Set them at a different height. Maybe we'll do hydropoles after, actually. So I'm going to go like that for now, and I like that, so I'll go ahead and I'll make a cube now. Alright. Okay, we'll go to edit mode, and we will unhighlight this face. And then we'll leave the rest highlighted, and we'll hit Control B. Yeah, it doesn't look right, I know. Go to bevel. We'll add some segments. That didn't work out very well. Let's edit, undo. I am going to try something a little different because it just didn't look right like that. So let's grab that one, holding shift and left clicking all the edges you want. Just gonna grab them like this, and you're probably thinking, well, that's the same thing, Lord. It actually isn't. You'll see why. I didn't grab these lower edges, and that's the difference, really, but you'll see how it changes the look of the whole thing. It gives me a really flat edge on the bottom, but a really rounded on the top. And again, I know this is very out of shape, but we'll flip to this mode, and we'll start shrinking it down until we get the shape and look we want. Now you can do a rounded light up here, you could do a big light, you could do a long light like that. Actually, let's do that. That looks pretty good. I think it does anyways. And again, I'm trying to highlight this road with this light. Yours is going to depend what you're doing with your light. Something like that for me will work. Maybe a little thinner. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip to edit mode and grab this lower face by clicking on faces up here. Click it. I. And then we're going to sync it up a little bit. And we have our light. Now again, you might want to change it. You might think, well, now I don't like how it looks. Well, so you can still change it. Just change it to what you like. So let's go a little wider. Might take you half an hour. Just go ahead and pause the video. And when you're done, come back and join us. No big deal. Alright. There's your examples. There's your street light. So now you're thinking, well, Lordfish, I've got street lights, I've got sidewalks, I've got roads. What else am I going to need in my cool game that I'm building, probably? I'll tell you what else you're going to need. Actually, this is optional, honestly. Like, some of the games I've made don't have hydropoles. Some of the games I'm working on do. So it's preference. What kind of look are you going for? Do you want your game to feel really real? Do you want it to be kind of a different type of world, like a fantasy world? Sorry, just taking a swig of my coffee there. It's still morning here where I am. So we'll do telephone poles just in case your city does have them. We'll do 2. We're probably gonna have to. Let's get rid of that. I love using squares so much I just pull them out randomly now. Alright. So we're going to move our pole over. And of course we join that by left click, then shift left click, and then control J. In case you missed that, in case I didn't explain that. Just move those 2 off to the side because we're going to need this whole sidewalk now. The reason is either you got 2 choices here. But to make all your telephone poles or hydro lines, line up, you're going to have to keep 2 on the straight part. So we're going to have to make them pretty small. If your sidewalk's bigger, this looks going to be a lot better for you. The smaller your sidewalk, it's going to seem like they're crammed together a bit. But I'd probably do something like that. Maybe even further in between each join. That way you get them spread out a little bit farther. And hopefully that always works out. I guess it wouldn't. No, let's not do that because then the next one would have one on top of it. So let's just do this. Or let's just do this. Right in the middle. It should work out. You may have some issues sometimes, but you should be able to just grab them inside the game and move them. Now we want to make them a fair bit taller than our lights. So you can change all the heights on everything and adjust them. Just pause the video. Come back when it's right for you. Don't be mad at me. Keep in mind, I'm only giving you examples. You have to make your own city. I'm just going to try to help you get there. Alright, so I'm going to go a little higher. You can see your light poles. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a second one. Bring it up in the air. I'm going to hit 90 on the second one. I'm sorry, I think it's this one. I have a very forgetful memory. Try to center it as best as you can. Hit S until it sinks into the other one. And then we'll boost it forward a bit. For they're still connected. Alright, we'll move that up a bit. Keep it away from our other things, the height-wise. And you just kind of keep on looking at whatever height you set your light poles to make sure that you're keeping these well and apart. Shrink that down a little bit more. Stretch it out a little bit more. Alright, I would say you got yourself a decent looking hydropole. So now, you got a few different options, a few ways to do this. Oh, sorry, just a second. Oh, just doing a little stretch. Alright. So next you can do your hydropoles, or your hydro wires, so that they're just basically a cylinder. And we'll change this axis to 90. That stretches from pole to pole, straight as an arrow. Some of them are, depending how tight the wires are. Or if you're going for more of a run-down look to your city, we can do that too, but let's just start here. Let's just get this. Probably don't want your pieces to go farther than your sidewalk. And you can actually look at your sidewalk and then look what the widths are down here, and then you could literally just match the width on this to make sure it's the same, and that way it's exactly the same. But I would do something like this, and as long as it's the same width, when you connect your next one on the next sidewalk, you should be able to just connect it. There's another way we could do this and not use any of this in our spleen, and that's preferably the way I would probably do it. I would connect these two. Let's connect that one to this one. Shift J. Let's drag it over here and just not have it have anything to do with our roads. We'll lay these separate. That would probably make things a lot easier in general. Do something like that. And then we'll Shift D it. And we'll put one on the other side. And then you can leave this as one single piece. You could do your hydro lines separate if you really want to. And yeah, that's a pretty easy way to do it. We could put a bend in the middle if we want, by going to edit mode. Let's get close to it, and then hit Control R. You see the bend put into it. Then after that, we would just and you get the idea. Put the bend into our wires for they kind of droop in the middle. You just have to match it on both. So maybe then you delete this one, copy this one, for they're exactly the same, and they still line up on both ends. You just move the middle. Alright, so hydro wire is pretty much covered. Obviously, this isn't exactly what you want. You're going to have to take your time and adjust them a little more, but I think we got to the point. And I don't know what else I can make for street stuff. Maybe mailbox is all I could really think. So maybe we'll do that real quick and then we'll get going. I don't think I really need to color these for you guys. If you do need help with the coloring, just make a comment saying, can you please do a coloring for these, and I'll go ahead and do that. But there's always coloring in just about every one of my videos, so I feel like if you're here, you've probably been here before, so you probably know how to color, so I won't bother with that. Well, Shift A, I'll make a little tiny mailbox, just because we're cute like that, guys. We're all so cute. Alright. Cool mailbox, let's see. Oh, why aren't you switching? There we go. I think I might need a new mouse soon. I think I'm almost clicked this one out. You guys see me doing this stuff. This is all I basically do. I make game stuff all day, hoping to help in the games that I'm making and create new content and stuff. So it's basically my mouse is getting beaten up every day. It's hard to see that. Let's drag them both up so we can see it. It doesn't have to be on the sidewalk. I'm being silly. And shrink this. There we go. Move it in. Move it in. And then we just Shift D. Make a new one. Drag that out. And then we'd shift D. I think we'd add a -2. Actually, I think it was this one. Need my memory though. Yep, there we go. Grab this one, shift D, add a minus to there. And we're just basically, since we've kept it exactly in the middle of this red line, we're just using that to flip it to the other side. You just need to either keep it exactly in the middle or keep it on one axis where you can use that technique. Alright, shift D. And obviously that's not right, so let's adjust that. Come up, come forward, hit S. Leave a little gap at the top where you can write mailbox or something stupid up there. Shift D. Alright, looking good, essay. How should we do this? Yeah, just get rid of it, I guess. So we'll click it, we'll shift click that, and we'll bool it from it with difference. Now, if you want this to have a pivot point of like probably right here at this front edge, but we're going to go into edit mode and we're going to grab this and just drag it a little forward like that, just because that's how mail slots usually look on the inside. It's like they're tapered like that. And then we'll flip out of edit mode, hit shift D, we'll move this up just a hair, and we'll hit S, and we're just going to knock that shape out of the piece we just made. So if you do have an opening now, it'll have a hole in it. And if you want that hole to go all the way through, we just use another piece to put a hole all the way through, so the mail actually would fall on the inside, or at least look like it. This is good enough for us for right now, for our look. We leave it probably just hanging out a little bit. No, maybe not. Like that. And maybe we'll shrink it a little bit. Like that. So you can definitely see the edges around it. Come out just a hair. And probably put a handle on it, I guess. Make it look cooler. And yeah, you can't see the details very good here. When you color it, it should be a lot more obvious and cooler effects on the coloring and things like that. It's just the mode we're in, really. Oops. I thought I was in scale mode, my bad. Remember, if you make a mistake, if you move something in the wrong place, if you haven't let go with left click, you can just right click to cancel it. That's not such a big deal. People make mistakes. Don't worry about it. Let's just copy this and I'll show you one more. Oh no, I did that wrong. Okay, let's just copy this and I'll show you one more thing that we could do if you're going for an even realer game than what we've been talking about. Say you need this mailbox to actually function. Say you need to be able to go up, drop things in, and then collect them. I don't know, you're making a mail game, you're using this, for example, of people who can go there and pick up their mail in your game. I'll just give you an example anyways. So I'm just going to Control J to attach that handle to the door. Put a hole in the bottom of the handle or whatever you need to do to make it look nicer. Sorry about that, guys. And I will just take this piece, slide it down, slide it in here, and if we wanted to put a hole all the way through now, let's make this bigger. We could, and then we could put a door down here for, you could drop your mail in the top and then have a locking compartment on the bottom to remove the mail from. And you just need to put holes on the inside before we attach anything to the actual box, because booling from things that have things attached to them causes issues. As you already know, if you've been watching my videos, and if you haven't been watching my videos, start watching my videos. This is going to stop you from making all these mistakes in Blender. You can watch me make them and not do the same thing. Alright, there we go. We're going to do that. And bool the difference. So now we have a hole in that. And we're going to bool this from that. So we're going to do that. Difference. And slide your mailbox in. Put it a little smaller where you can see it's there. If you put the edges exact, it'll just kind of disappear, right? You could make a lock for it that you had to open, depending on your skill level, but I'll show you that actually. That's not too bad. Just in case you guys... What the hell am I going to do here? Rotation. Just in case you guys are needing it and you just don't know how to do it. That's what I'm here for, is to show you these little silly things. I can think of a billion ways to do different stuff like this. I don't know why it is. It just kind of comes to me. That's why I do these videos live, no script. Alright, let's shrink it down until it's about the size of a lock. And I hope this works out. If something doesn't work, try to keep that in mind, guys, that I'm just kind of winging this stuff. I don't have a plan in mind. I decide on the fly. Pardon me. I mean to cough in your ear. Like I said, I'm still getting over that cold a bit, but I feel a lot better today. And it sounds like my voice isn't really showing that, but that's the real situation. Feel a bit better today. Alright, so what we're going to do, two things actually. Let's copy this one. I keep on going to hit spacebar to change the control mode to be able to scale and things like that. That's the fault of Unreal Engine, because that would change what axis you're using at that point. So flipping back and forth gets a little confusing. So what are we going to do here? We're going to just make what looks like a key slot. So we're going to start with that. Let's delete this one now, because they're different sizes. Shift D, and we'll just drag it away from the other one. I always right click after for it stays in the same place. Make sure this is where you want it. Pull out of it. Now you have a little key slot. But this also needs to be booled out of, so we're going to do this. And bool that piece for the key slot actually goes into it. And now, I don't know if we can see it. Let's grab it. Go to editing mode. You can see it a bit better how far the key slot goes in. Again, when you color it, you're going to be able to see it a lot better. It's a little bit big still, so let's drag it forward. Oh, we can't. It's already on the edge. So let's shrink it down to about the size of a key. Oh, we can't. I forgot we put a bool through the back. Let's go back a little bit. Should have done that until I had it in place. And that's why I say let me make the mistakes and you watch and then don't. But luckily we got this undo tool. We can go back, find where we messed up and not mess up. So let's actually still do that, but we will move this up here and we will shrink them. Take that, move it in even farther this time. Might as well, and then we'll bool it out of the back piece. And again, guys, don't feel bad about making mistakes. It's going to happen here and there. What else is missing? Okay, does that look like a mailbox? Your area is going to be different than mine. Everybody's is going to be different, but where I live, mailboxes do this on the back end, just to make it look the right way. Oops. We'll go that far because we can't go past our box. Alright, so we have what looks like a mailbox. Let's attach everything to our mailbox. Grab your legs. Grab your face. Grab your key. Grab this. Then we're going to grab the outside. Control J. And if you did it all right, it should all be one piece. Perfect. I'm missing a leg. Where did my one leg go? There it is. There we go. We'll just grab that, and we're attached. Don't worry. Not a big deal. Alright, might have to do some scaling back and forth to get it the right size for your streets again, but we've got pretty far, I think. We've got poles, we got street lights, we got fire hydrants, we got sidewalks. I don't know if you guys are looking for anything else. Maybe you want pop machines, maybe. Give me some ideas. Maybe you need, I don't know what, parking meters, who knows. But if you want a part 3, let me know in the comments what you guys need, and tell me if you're enjoying the series. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, and click to a link to below in my description. You can play Fishton, A Town to Remember, game partially made by me, available on Steam. Thanks for watching, everybody.